I jumped the gun. Things are just falling apart. I'm dropping things. Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works, man cave. It's not the workshop, unfortunately. But anyways, got a interesting program for you this morning, and we'll get into it. But as I was preparing this program, for whatever reason, this old-time country song came into my head. Haven't heard it in years, but I thought I'd try it this morning. Let's see how it goes. Please release me, let me go, for I don't love you anymore. To waste our lives would be a sin. Release me and let me love again. I have found a new love, dear, and I will always want her near. Her lips are warm while yours are cold. Release me, my darling, let me go. Please release me, can't you see? You'd be a fool to cling to me. To live our life would bring us pain. So release me and let me love again. Please release me, let me go, for I don't love you anymore. To waste our life would be a sin. So release me and let me love again. Release me and let me love again. Well, I don't really know where that came from. It's just one of them deals that popped into my head, and I thought I'd give it a shot. Let's see here if I can put my outline in a place that doesn't mar up the screen too much on this little tiny monitor. Yeah, I ordered that new big monitor, and it hasn't even shipped yet, let alone arrived. So it's looking like it won't be here till the first or second week of March. And that's not far away, since tomorrow is the last day of February. Today would have been the last day of February had it not been for that leap year thing. And guys, the temperatures here are just plain nuts, as I'm sure they are pretty much everywhere. It was like 85 or more yesterday. I don't really know what the exact temperature was, but it was at least 85. And this morning, it's 25. And just 7 minutes before we were live, it was 24. So it's gone up 1.5 degrees here in the last 7 minutes. The sun's out, so that's what's making the difference, I'm sure. Crazy. We have a live show for you tomorrow night from right here, I think. It'll be 7 o'clock p.m., so mark your calendars. 7 o'clock Central Standard Time here in the U.S. And hope you can join us live, and if not live, maybe you'll catch it later. The Fiddle contest is still going on, and you can still enter it. And when I say Fiddle contest, I mean to win the fiddle. You can still enter until 6 o'clock p.m. tomorrow evening. So between now and 6 o'clock, submit a video with your youngster talking on the video, where the youngster would tell me why he or she would like to own this student fiddle. It's a pretty decent little fiddle. It comes with a chipboard case and a bow that's not so good. The bow's not great. You probably would need to get a new bow, but otherwise the fiddle itself is pretty good. So anyway, send it to rosastringworks@gmail.com and get it in by 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. I think, now I didn't look at my email yesterday, I'll be honest, so there could have been some more came in, but at the last time I looked at it, I think there were only 3 entries. So your chances of winning are pretty good, and I'm just going to select the one that I feel deserves the fiddle the most, even though I would like to give it to every single entry. I really would, but can't do it because I don't have that many. So we'll see how that goes, and we will announce the winner on Friday morning, on the vlog on Friday morning. And I'll probably play you their video if I can get that to work. I think I can, but we'll see. Yesterday I worked pretty hard. First thing I did was I installed that new tire on the Ranger, the one and only new tire that came in when there were supposed to be 2. But fortunately, they did show up with the other tire yesterday afternoon. They said something happened and it got put on 2 different trucks or something. You know how it goes. It's a mess these days with shipping. It's just an absolute zoo. Anyway, it came, and I'm debating on whether I want to put the second tire on or just run the other old tire until it dies. I do like the new tires. They look real nice. I'll maybe try to give you a picture of those maybe Friday or something, because they seem to be an upgrade from the previous ATV tires I've purchased in the past, but may just because they're so new. I don't know. Let's see. What else did I have to tell you about this morning? Well, this is just off target a little bit here, but we've got some family visitors coming on this weekend. Sue's got relatives coming down on Saturday, and then I think she's got one of her girlfriends coming down on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll probably be tied up for the most part this weekend entertaining. And probably Sue's visitors that are coming down, the guys side of that, they'll probably all be interested in my sawmill and some of that kind of stuff, so I'll probably be showing some of that stuff off to them this weekend. I hope I got this working. I have because I'm probably not ever going to use my rolling equipment anymore, just because it is so complex and the learning curve is steep to relearn it. I've pretty much lost my expertise on it, so I think I'm going to put it up for sale. Here's what that looks like in case you might be interested. It is a full workstation. It's got a hard drive in it, and I have external hard drives for it, also for storage. And well, it's pretty much just a one package does it all type deal. It's got like 16 inputs. Well, it has 8 XLR inputs and a total of and 6. 8 of them which are parallel to those XLRs, but it has 16 total of the quarter-inch jack inputs also. And then it has like 256 virtual tracks. It's a very, very, very complex machine. Can do all kinds of stuff. Now, it's the quote-unquote old technology. I ain't trying to fool nobody. Just be sure that if you are interested in purchasing it, that you are really good with computers and really good with complex electrical gadgets. If you're not, then there's no point in buying it because you'll never get it to work. It's complex. I do have the books, or some of the books with it anyway, and there is a lot of help online. So if anybody's interested in shooting me an offer on that, send it to rosastringworks@gmail.com. Now, by the way, that's the 16 input version. I also have an 8 input version. I have a smaller one just like it, except it's much smaller. It's like for 8 inputs or 8 XLRs. And it's a really nice one too. It does basically all the same stuff. I used it as my portable recording station, where I would take it out to on site or whatever, or take it to somebody's house or whatever to record them. Like if they were playing a piano or something like that, I would take it to their home and record them. I used to do that quite often, actually. So I have 2 different versions of the workstation, the big one and the smaller one. They're pretty much equally complicated though, so just understand that. And And don't buy it thinking that you're just going to be able to instantly start recording your band or whatever. But if you're interested in it, I will sell either or both. Okay, and let's see. Moving on. What else? My outline goes behind the screen here, so I have to find it again. What else? Okay, well, I guess we're on to the meat of the video this morning, and that would be the cedar logs. So here's video clip number 1. Well, it's 11 a.m. on Tuesday, and I just sawed all these logs into the length. They were all in tree form a moment ago. That's 3 trees, and I've got, I think there's 10 logs on here, and this makes 11, and this is the biggest one of all. And this thing's really big, but you can also see all the wane that's in there, and the way it grew. So I'm not going to get as much out of that as I should have, unfortunately. But most of the rest of these are pretty good. You can see the growth into these areas here. That kind of cuts down on the quality of your lumber, but most of them don't have too much of that. So, these smaller ones like this, I maybe just get a square post out of that. That's probably about all I'll get out of that one. But most of these will produce some decent boards. So I'm pretty happy with it. A lot of work to get her there. Yeah, it was a lot of work. If you've never... Well, first of all, just cutting the tree down itself is, it's a job. And then delimbing that kind of tree, you know how many hundreds of limbs each one of those cedars had, and they go all the way around the tree, and the tree's on the ground, so you got to get under. It's just not easy to delimb those, and that took me a while. I had to delimb 3 of them, and each one was about 60 foot tall. I mean, they're big, tall trees, so that was quite a job. And here is video number 2 on the cedar. I've showed my dump trailer a number of times, but you can see that it's picking this giant load of logs right up. And all I got to do is lift this little button right here. And you can see it's going right on up. There they go. They slid right out. And now I'll take the tractor, pull it forward, and the logs will be on the ground. Well, there's what she looks like, all laying on the ground. Got my work cut out for me on the sawmill. First, I have to move all that big stump slabs up there that I've got covered up. I got to put them someplace, and that great big stump too. So I got to put all that somewhere. Well, there you go, my friends. I moved that big stack of walnut slabs in here. That one there is really big. Doubt it'll ever be anything, but you never know. So put them in here where they can dry, and I did sticker them so that there's air be going between them. It only took 2 men and a boy to move them out here. Unfortunately, I was one of those men, and that was the other man and a boy. Yeah, right at the word boy, the camera ran out of space, and so I thought, oh, heck with it, I ain't got to re-record it just for half of the word of boy, because I was done right there at that point anyway. But yeah, it's a lot of work, and that walnut was way heavier than it looks, way heavier. I would say that big piece that was standing up, it's got to be bumping 200 pounds. I mean, it's really super heavy. That's all I do to pick it up and stand it up on its edge so I could get the dolly worked under it. I mean, it's really heavy. And then, moving all of those pieces. Plus, there was another slab on the bottom that was almost that heavy. So I was out of breath when I made that little recording, let me tell you. Well, let's go ahead and get into the comments and see what we got this morning. Gary Hayden was the first one to check in, and then David Tharp. I turned it up live really early this morning. I was wondering how that would affect the dynamics here. And then we got David Tharp, and then Dave Hunt, and then Dickie Farley, and Gotta Fly Lee, and Lester Cunningham. Lester says, morning, Jerry. All is well with you. Hope all is well with you today. Will you play Gold Rush Thursday night? I'll write that down and see if we can't accomplish that. I think we can. I'm pretty sure Beverly leads that one. So I'll write it down, and we'll see if we can get it done for you. I can't make any promises on these things on these live shows because it just, I don't know. It's just hard to explain. They're just kind of dynamic. They happen as they happen, but we try to work all the requests in that we can. Daddy Hildebrand, Jerry, could you please play Father of Bluegrass? As in for now or Friday or tomorrow night? I'll write it down here, and then if you want me to play it now, I will, but otherwise I'll do it tomorrow night, or I'll try to. I think, I've often said Father of Bluegrass was the first song I wrote. I would say it was the first song I wrote after I started playing mandolin, probably is the best way to say it, because I think really the very first song that I remember writing is From Where I Stand, that one that I said took me 30 years to write, because I started writing that when I was like 18, but I wasn't playing mandolin at all really then. So anyway. Moving on down. But thanks for the request there, Dottie. I'm just looking for question marks, and there's a lot of comments before we went live. I mean, a lot of them. Gee whiz. In fact, I haven't got to the bottom of those yet. I'm still looking for question marks, and I'm trying not to miss them. It's easy for me to miss. Like I tell you, I'm a terrible reader. It's really not good. I'm looking. I've just got to the bottom of the. I guess that's because I turned it up so early this morning. It says we have 141 viewers right now. Okay, after we went live, looks like John Pepper was the first one to check in, and then Robert Lawback, and then Richard Cooksey, Christia Thomason, Paul Walton. All right, I'm still looking for question marks. Dottie Hildebrand says, mighty fine chirping. Well, thank you. My mother, I remember her singing that song a time or two when I was growing up. You never caught her singing very often, but occasionally she'd sing, and she had a great voice. She really did, but she never sang out or, publicly or anything. But she really had a great voice. Lester Cunningham, great job, Jerry. That is a Webb Pierce tune. Yeah, I kind of remember that. I don't remember much about it, but I would say if you're not at least 50 years old, you probably never heard it. It's an old one, I know that. Bill Mumbo, Jim Reeves, my mother loved him to bits. Thanks, mate. How about Welcome to My World? Oh, that's a pretty song. I'll write it down. Maybe I'll look at that one, see if it's one I can do. Some songs, hit you and you can do them, and other ones not so much. I remember that one. Welcome to My World. Moving on down. Let's see. I'm looking again for question marks here without messing it up too much here. I'm going up and down so fast. It says, Papa Tom says, please release me. Nashville numbers 145. Yep, that was a 145 tune. Most tunes have a 145. Not all of them do. Some of them only have a 1 and a 5. But most songs have a 145 as their bass. Even the really complicated songs that have lots more chords, you're going to still find a 145 in there. The 145 is your bass structure of your song, and almost every song. You could almost say it is black and white, but you'll find some that kind of are on the edge of that because there's always some knucklehead trying to find something unique to write. Ronald Todd, that part guitar sounded very good this morning, and the squirrel wasn't bad either. Yeah, that squirrel, you got to watch him. Well, thanks. I was monkeying around with the guitar mic. I turned it up quite a bit more this morning. We'll keep going here because I know there's a comment coming up. I saw that everything's crazy. It's just nuts. I don't even know how to explain it. Gary Hayden says, nice song. The sound system is great. Well, great. And Lester Cunning says, I love that shirt. Yeah, my favorite daughter gave me this shirt. I have 2 daughters. I'm not going to say which one gave me the shirt, but anyway, I have it there, and it's just nuts. Nigel, okay, here's the comment I was waiting for. Nigel Barrage says, Jerry, I'm wondering if you are doing the right thing by removing the foam guard from your new microphone. It is there to protect against moisture from your mouth and will ultimately damage it. Well, yeah, that's maybe sort of kind of what it's there for. It's really there as what they call a pea popper. It keeps you from popping your peas when you talk into a mic. But anyway, that's what it's really there for. It's a filter, more than it is to protect the mic. It's a wind filter, a wind sock, they call it. There's all kinds of names for it, but it's mostly for the air moving across it. But Nigel, I would say that maybe you have, but because your comment went different than I was expecting it, to be honest with you. Because again, I can't read until I read. I can't look at something and read the whole thing. I can't. I got to read it word by word by word by word. And so I was expecting your comment to go differently, and I was going to say, well, I guess you haven't been watching the last couple days because someone keeps telling me to take the darn filter off of there, the foam filter. So I thought I'd try it this morning. And in my microphone test that I did earlier before we went live, I do like it better without the filter on there. So I don't know. I'm going to leave it off for a while, and I'll listen back to this again today. And this is all experimental, guys. I don't know. Nothing's cast in stone yet. We'll change things 10 more times, maybe even before tomorrow night. So I'm just trying, and the only way you can figure this stuff out is to try it and see how it works. Luke Stoltz, how is the pup coming along? Well, neglected. That's how it's coming along. I pet her every single time I walk out the door just because she just comes running to me, but I haven't had time to spend with her, and I don't know. It's just crazy. I wish I did just have time to devote to her because I think she'd be pretty good. She doesn't strike me as the sharpest knife in the drawer in terms of really learning things. I mean, she learns things, don't get me wrong, but you got to work with her, and you do with any dog. I know that. But some dogs catch on a lot faster. And the thing about her is that you can teach her something, and then when you go back to it later, it's like it's not so much that she doesn't get it. I think she gets it, but she just wants to ignore it. It's more like you can see, it's more like an attitude. Like, yeah, okay, fine. I don't want to go do that. That's kind of the way it seems. I don't know. Maybe she's extra smart, and that's the reason. I don't know. But anyway, I just haven't had enough time to devote to her. I feel bad because I'm neglecting her. I really am. Michael Peters. Jerry, could you tell us what the model number of the Roland workstation is? Yeah, let me double check. I'll look at it, but I think it's a 2480. Yes, that's correct. It's a VS2480. VS2480. It's a very good workstation. As far as I know, every single thing on it works. I don't think there's anything that doesn't work. It does have optical capability also. In other words, like my studio monitors, I had them connected with optical fiber or whatever you want to call that, instead of just regular cable, It's as good as you need. Like I said, on that particular workstation, I recorded things for PBS. I recorded things for NPR. And they were perfectly happy with them. So it's that good, at least. I mean, it works really good. Now, by today's standards, you got to remember that was 15 years ago when I did most of that. So by today's standards, maybe it's not as good. I don't know. I'm not trying to say it's as good as what we do today. I'm not, because I just don't know. And that's the truth of it. I'm just being honest with you about it. All I know is what I know. And when I was using it back then, I probably seriously only used 10, maybe 15% of its capability, but I was really up on that part, and I really had that part down and could just nail it, and I don't now. I mean, I got away from it for like 5 or 6 years, and it just won't come back. I can't get it back, so I decided to just cut my losses and go to the more newer way of doing things, and that's where I'm at with it. I was hoping for simpler, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to be a whole lot simpler. Oh, it's not real bad, though. Joe Everett, does anyone in the band know Rest My Weary Feet? I don't know. I don't recall anybody doing that one. I'll write it down. Rest My Weary Feet. Does it have a different title? I think that's part of the... I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of a different song, but anyway. Jeff Puris, do you think the blacktop parts guitar would ever be up for sale? No, I probably won't sell it. It's a good guitar, really is a good old guitar, but honestly, I wouldn't sell it for several reasons. Number one, just because it's got so many little side problems, like it's got all the cracks and the bridge is a little loose and stuff like that. I'd have to, if I did sell it, I'd have to fix it all up. I wouldn't be able to sell it like that. But for me and just using it like this, it's perfectly fine. Let's see. Rubbish guitar bloke there. I don't see any question marks though. Let's see. Lester Cunningham. Love those daughters. I have 4. Yeah, I got 2 that are just wonderful. Gary Hayden says, lots of DJs remove the foam. It's clearer. Yeah, I've felt both ways about it, honestly. I've felt like a lot of times with the foam, it sounds better to me. But in this particular mic, on this particular setup, I like this one without the foam. So, but what's weird is I hear lots of people use this mic as the standard on YouTube. I mean, it's kind of like for vlogging and stuff. I mean, it's one of the standards. And most all of them have the foam on there, and they sound great. But for me, personally, with my setup, it sounds better, I think, without the foam. So, I don't know. Just don't know. Haven't made up any black and white decisions yet. And I haven't learned everything I need to know yet. So once I learn more and get more stuff working here, I may change again. You just never know. Blackjack guitar. Dust kills mics and electronics, Jerry. Well, maybe. But boy, if that's the case, I should have had a whole lot of dead equipment because everything around here is dusty as it can be. Jarvis Skid Marks Band. How is Cash doing? Well, I haven't heard from him in several weeks. I was hoping to hear back about his contest. I don't know how his contest went. So I haven't heard from him for several weeks. It was the first week of April, I think I brought him in one more time there to kind of tune him up a little bit for his contest. Dean Guyman says, how about the old hymn, Leave It There? I'll write it down, and Gary might know that one. He knows a lot of the old hymns. I'll write it down. Okay, Rest My Weary Feet is a Becky Buller song. Becky Buller. I like Becky Buller, but I don't know that one offhand. Becky Buller's great. She's just wonderful. I mean, really a great songwriter. Just really good. If you haven't checked her out, you probably should check her out because she's written some wonderful songs. In fact, she wrote the songs that I use when you hear Emery's mother, Renee, singing, like, when I say, I'll be right back, that type of thing. When you hear that lady singing, that's she's singing two. Well, one of them is a Becky Buller song. Now that I think about it, I thought they both were, but one of them she sings, the Opal, Ruby, and Pearl, is a Becky Buller song. Beautiful songwriting. Dottie Hildebrandt says, Jerry, you could play the Father of Bluegrass on Thursday. If I twist you arm, you could play it today. Okay. Did you ever make a mandocello? No, I never did anything like that. Just your standard F5 mandolins is the only mandolin style instrument I've ever built from scratch. And then basically just your dreadnought guitars, with the exception of the fact that the 12 strings have a slightly different body shape than your dreadnoughts, but they were Martin style 12 strings, so they're very similar. That looks like that's going to be it for today, guys. I'm going to, I've got a lot to do. I think today I'm going to focus on working on the auction stuff and go back, since the temperature is so cold out there today, and it's only supposed to get up to like 40. I thought maybe I'll spend the day inside in the shop and working on the auction software and stuff like that and trying to figure that out, because again, it's, stuff should just be easier than it is. There should be some intuitiveness in anything that you do, especially when you're writing software. Software should be, when you put it up on the screen, you ought to have some clue of how to use it, and like that auction software, you don't even have a good guess where to start. It's just sad that people design stuff in the way they design it. I've said from day one that that's one of my biggest pet peeves is that, there's just no excuse for a poor design, and it's out everywhere. It's just everywhere. Gary Hayden has one more question here, it looks like. Jerry, who all are showing up for the live concert? Well, it'll be the main band for sure. There's an outside chance that Patty might be back with her fiddle. It's possible. But so it'll be, as far as I know, we won't have our banjo player because he's down in Arizona, but it'll be Gary Haven on guitar, Bill Pilliard on guitar, Don Davis on the bass, and Beverly Spencer on, guitar and dobro. So those are the ones for sure, and then possibly outside chance Patty might be here, possibly. I haven't been checking my email, and I sent her an email because she had a question for me about setting up one of her fiddles. And I said, well, if you bring it by here, and if you want to come on Thursday, you can join in on the show. So I don't know if she's replied back or not, and maybe I can check on all that today while I'm down there in the shop too. Just a lot to do all the time. Just can't even begin to tell you. I just seem like all I do is put out fires. Run here, run there, run here, run there. Do this, do that. It's all day long, every day. Well, guys, that's going to be it. We will see you tomorrow with something else and maybe some more weird testing on all this sound equipment here. You just never know. Thank you for joining me. We will see you then.